Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Books and Backbone podcast. My name's Donna. I'm the owner of Bookkeeping Made Simple, and with me today is Sean Ford. Sean, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Sean Ford. I am the Chief Operating Officer of Dr. Fossum's Pet Care. We provide natural solutions to some of the biggest issues that your companion animal, pet, cat, and dog that they have. So we really look at products that don't have a good solution out there, and then we formulate something. The company was founded by Dr. Terry Fossum, who is a world-renowned veterinarian. She wrote the book Small Animal Surgery, which is kind of the if you ask a veterinary student, it's the most important book that they own in veterinary school. And we've kind of dubbed her the Taylor Swift of veterinary medicine because when she goes to conferences, everybody asks for her autograph and takes selfies with her. So, although she's a very humble and petite lady, she's extremely well respected in the space. So, yeah, so that's what we do.
That's awesome. So, what are some of the things you help pets with?
Sure. So we have to be careful because we don't want to make we can't
Yeah,
make
we don't want to violate the FDA. We don't cure anything. We don't.
exactly.
This is just supplemental.
That's exactly correct. Um, so we sell a couple different lines of products, but the most popular is our CBD products for dogs and cats. So if you have a dog or cat that needs to help remain calm or has mobility issues, mobility is a big one. So if you have a senior dog that's getting up there in age, and you're starting to see the dog slow down a little bit, and you're trying to help your dog really play like a puppy again,
Hmm.
without making the claim, but we literally, our reviews would tell you that we've seen dogs, like, we've unwound the hands of time when it comes to some dogs, and you see them like kind of go back to playing like a puppy again, where they weren't walking very well, and now all of a sudden they start running again, and you can just see the excitement and the joy that's brought back into their lives.
That's
And then
awesome.
the other really cool product that we have is a cognitive function supplement for dogs. This is a big one. Not a lot of people know about it. We sell it's a doggy dementia product basically. So 25% of dogs over the age of 7 end up with some form of cognitive decline. And so similar to human, it's a similar disease to humans, but the symptoms that you see are very different. So dogs start to get confused. When they try and go outside, they might go to the hinge side of the door, or they might urinate and defecate in inappropriate places. But the biggest symptom that is really challenging is when the sun goes down, the dog becomes very vocal and anxious and starts to cry, whine, and bark all night. And so what happens is the dog is barking all night, which basically means the entire household is up all night. And
Oh, yeah.
so we have a supplement that we've done a study, and it's been a peer reviewed published study where we showed fairly significant improvements. So it was 38% improvement in cognitive scores in 30 days. So it's 25% of dogs over the age of 7 have that cognitive decline, and then it just goes up dramatically as you get close to 12 and 14 years old. So really, really challenging because it just doesn't affect the dog; it affects the entire household.
Yeah, yeah, I can certainly see that. I don't have dogs. I'm more of a cat person. My cat's
Hmm.
sitting, I'm petting her as we're talking.
Oh,
Um,
amazing.
she's actually my husband's cat, but he's out of town, so I guess I will do.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's good. Your emotional support office animal. That's amazing.
Yes, yes, she's a good kitty too. My daughter just had to put down her pit bull because she was riddled with cancer.
Mm.
And that just happened just a few days. It was after we talked. Um, is there anything in your product that would be useful? Again, I don't want to use the word cure because it might not, but would be
Yeah.
useful for a dog with cancer.
So yeah, that's a tough one. And first of all, I'm so sorry to hear. It's all
She
dogs
was,
go to
yeah,
heaven, so it's really challenging to hear the stories. And
yeah.
unfortunately, because
She
we
went
deal
to
with
be with
dogs.
my mother, is what we say. My mom passed away at the end of July,
Mm,
so
yeah, and
and
all
she
dogs
loves
go to
these
heaven.
dogs.
So it's yeah, it's so what the re what. third party research would tell you is that at least in vitro, they've been able to kill cancer cells with CBD, as
Hmm.
well as reduce the size, shrink the size of tumors. You will not see any of that language anywhere on our website because it's
Right.
like, I mean, my goodness, you are so deep into we're so deep into the FDA at that point, and we
Yeah.
don't make any of those claims. And but like, anybody can do a Google or a ChatGPT search and ask the questions regarding how what the benefits are, and what they'll probably come back and say is that the research is limited, but there have been some anecdotal cases of success. But it's you try and do anything that you can to help your pets.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was, she had cancer so bad that there was just no coming back from it. She was completely riddled with it. So I think we made the right call. Um, but, if there's anything that can even make them more comfortable going through that,
Yeah,
we're
I think
always
that that's
interested in
where
getting that out
make
there.
sorry to yeah I think that that's a good point as well in terms of helping them remain calm and maybe helping with a little bit of the relief that they're dealing with. I think that those things are good use cases. We do have a lot of our customers that that swear by it, that their dogs are dealing with certain types of cancers and so forth. So it's a challenging one. And yeah, in terms of your daughter's dog, we get asked those questions like fairly often, like when is the right time to,
That's
you
kind of a
know,
personal decision.
it really is.
I think if they can't get better, then it's better than letting them just live in pain.
For sure. And we've a personal story. We had a cockapoo who lived until 19 years old, and it
Oh my
was
God.
yeah, it was like the family dog that became my parents' dog because all the kids moved out of the house.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, I was working in Bloomberg in New York, and my parents called me and was like, "Hey, come home. We're saying goodbye to Panda, or excuse me, we're saying goodbye to Coco. Panda's our current dog." And so I flew home, or excuse me, I drove home, got to my house, and then we all cried all night, said goodbye to the dog,
Hmm.
Coco, great dog. And then my dad took the dog to the Coco to the vet the next day, and the veterinarian said she's got more time. So she wasn't in pain. We thought that this was it. Like, she wasn't getting up, she wasn't moving around, she wasn't herself. And um, the veterinarian said, "Hey, we can make Coco comfortable, but you got more time." So we brought her back home because we weren't like ready to give her up. If she was okay, we weren't ready to give her up. But
Right.
and so we ended up bringing her home, and 3 weeks later we went through the same process again. But it's 3 more weeks that we had with her, so it was a really special time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I wish we'd had that option with Honey, but she had it just so bad. And,
No, of course, yeah,
you know,
that's a shame.
um, it was kind of devastating coming on the heels of my mom's death, too. So we decided she went to go take care of, of my mom. and
That's it, for
and
sure.
I, I spent a week at my dad's just before she got put down and spent it petting her and telling her she's a good dog and she is a good
Mhm.
girl, and she was.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
so what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
Yeah, I think that there's a big shift toward like supplements and more natural care relative to medications. I think that that's more people are going toward a more holistic approach.
Hmm.
Look, and I'm always cautious to make the comparison to drugs because I think drugs are a
Oh, they
miracle
can be
workers in
really
some case.
useful. Yeah.
And where I struggle with my dog personally is I never want to give my dog a product that might have side effects that causes more issues down the
Uh-huh.
line, um, especially if we're planning on giving it on an ongoing basis. The long term side effects can be harmful. So, if there's something that we can do to change, and I think that that's why you're seeing a lot of these like all natural, fresh pet foods hit the market,
Hmm.
because people, I think that they're skeptical of
Yeah. The ones
um,
that have to be refrigerated and Yeah.
Yeah, shipped on ice, refrigerated. I mean, it's big business too, for sure. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the farmer's dog had a commercial on the Super Bowl, so they're doing
They could really
the
shoot
business is growing. That's for sure.
exactly.
But I think that that's a major trend that we're seeing. You know, the and even taking a step further back, a more macro approach, pets are dogs and cats are becoming part of the family,
Hmm.
and so I think that there's a lot of uh, kids that are hitting the workforce that aren't really interested in having children, and they'd rather have the dog that becomes their child effectively. And
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to people all the time. They refer to their dog and cat as their baby,
Hmm.
and they care for them as such. So veterinary care. There's been such amazing advances in veterinary care, kind of off the backs of human care.
Yeah.
That animals are living longer, and which means that you can become more and more attached to the animal over time, the dog or cat over time. And but the biggest thing is, and this is like a global trend, is that you know it's a family member, and
Hmm.
when there's something that you can do to prevent, or not necessarily prevent, but well, extend the life, the healthy life of an animal, most pet owners are going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting trend because it can be extremely expensive.
Yes. Yeah. That was kind of, yeah, veterinary care is not cheap. Neither is people care. So
Yeah,
I
the
guess
difference is
that's exciting.
most pet owners don't have insurance for their pets, and and it's not really regulated like the human insurance, and so it's like it can get really expensive. Like I think my
Hmm.
friend had like my buddy's dog had a weakness in the hind leg, and they thought they could get it. I think he paid a vet bill of 20 grand.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, the consolidation in the industry isn't exactly um, helping the price particularly come down.
Right.
So for those who don't know, there's a lot of veterinary practices that are kind of joining bigger groups,
Hmm.
and it's kind of private equity based type groups that are spending top dollar to buy these assets, cash. I mean, they bring in a lot of cash, and then based off of that, they're gonna charge the customer more. And
Yeah.
like I was talking to a lady yesterday, I thought it was really interesting. She said, and basically they guilt you into spending the money on your pet, and they don't even have to say anything. They don't even have to open their mouth. They can just say like, "Well, this is what we would recommend for Fluffy," and it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like,
And
so
people
what's the
open their wallet.
alternative?"
Yeah.
Right? And so it's I yeah I it's they're not wrong in the approach of like, hey, like we're gonna do everything that we can do to make this animal comfortable and so forth. But
Hmm.
I'd hate to say it have a financial impact on the pet owner trying to
Yeah,
keep
it does though.
and
I
make
mean,
that really
they're just
challenging
not cheap.
decision.
So, especially, as they get older and they need more care, they're just not, don't get a dog or a cat thinking they're going to be cheap. Uh,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
so, so, what's been working well for you in this industry and what's been a challenge?
Yeah. So, one of the primary things that's a challenge for us is we really have the best products on the market, but there's so much noise in the market that it's really hard for pet owners to determine which product is exactly right for their pet. And I think that that's like a really big challenge. So when you go on Amazon and you were to put in, let's just say, help my dog with anxiety, for example, there's going to
Hmm.
be like a million products that show up, and a lot of them will have reviews of the placebo effect is real. So, I think one of the challenges we have is helping pet owners really find the right product for their pet. And the way that we go about that is we do two things. We Veterinarians love our products because they know and trust Dr. Fossum.
Hmm.
So 70 to 80% of our business is referral based. Customers love our
Awesome.
products, and veterinarians love our products, and then they just tell their friends and family about them. And then in addition to that, we offer really strong referrals. So instead of spending a bunch of money to pay Facebook or Meta to acquire new customers, we rely on our existing customers to kind of help us grow our business. So it's a unique way to go about it, to the point where we offer such an Facebook and Instagram are so expensive nowadays to advertise on,
True.
um, and I'd argue that they're very, very well priced. So you might get like that they're gonna make it as it's kind of like an employer who pays you just enough so you don't quit,
Hmm.
but not enough that you're happy and like
Right.
the or like maximize profits on the corporation side. It's kind of similar. I feel like it's like that, but we just want to incentivize our customers because we have these very loyal built customers that use our products every single day for their dogs, and with that we rely on them to share the information with their pet owners. The other thing that we do is, and we're in a really unique position to do it, is we educate veterinarians and our customers. We have webinars for every product that we have or every kind of ailment, and even at products that we don't have. We'll educate customers on the situation. We actually launched a book. I have it over my shelf here, but it's called Senior Dogs:
Uh-huh.
How to Maximize Time with your Best Friend. Um, how to maximize quality time with your best friend. And but basically, what it is it's a book on the top 7 most um, common ailments as your dog hits senior age, and then it kind of walks through like the common treatments and solutions for it. And then
Hmm.
Terry or Dr. Fossum gives her input of, if it were my dog, how would I go about treating it or handling it with my dog. So it gives you that little extra data point of um, like it gives you that extra one data point of like, okay, this is what I would do, because that's what like veterinarians aren't really going to do. They're not going to give you the personalized opinion of like, oh well, for my dog, I would probably just there's it might not solve the issue. It's going to cost you a fortune, or it might solve the issue, but it's going to cause these other issues, and it's a business. So and
Yeah.
man, I just want to say I think that there's 99.9% of veterinarians are got into the industry and are in the industry to do the right thing for the animal. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm,
Yeah. That's been my experience. So
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. What else is working? Yeah, the education is just so important because I think that that's how you're making informed decisions across the board. Really helping the pet owner like understand the risks and the benefits every step of the way. Yeah,
now
for
you
sure.
mentioned you worked for Bloomberg. What made you transition from Wall Street to pet medicine?
Yeah, sure. There's a little bit of a transition there, but so I was in foreign exchange and commodities for a while, and my job was to go around to Fortune 500 companies and help them manage their financial risks.
Uh-huh.
So the banks are really sophisticated, and corporations, for the most part, aren't that sophisticated.
Right.
And even like big corporate, I mean, the bigger the corporation, the more sophisticated they get.
Hmm.
But the they didn't necessarily have the tools to basically, it's not a fair fight between the banks and the corporations, right? And the banks are really good, and they hire some of the smartest people on the planet. So I helped them kind of level the playing field with a Bloomberg, and then I got into equity research for a couple of years, and I just really wasn't built to spend my life in front of a computer screen and spreadsheet, and I still do that all the time, but at least I have the opportunity to talk to pet owners throughout the day and hear their stories and things like that. The initial jump was I quit my job, and my girlfriend at the time and I moved to California. We were living in Manhattan at the time.
Hmm.
We moved to Marina Del Rey for me to start basically a hemp exchange when hemp went legal,
Uh-huh.
and we were a marketplace. And so did that for a little bit and kind of really wanted to, instead of being in the marketplace, wanted to get on the ground level with the company, and joined Dr. Fossum's team about 5 years ago. And we've been growing it ever since, and it's been super fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So as you know, I'm in accounting
Hmm.
and working with clients that have cannabis or cannabinoids as part of their product.
Hmm.
What challenges have you had on the business side of it? Or
Oh
are
yeah,
you,
yeah. I think everybody you've worked with and has probably gotten kicked in the teeth a few times, because it is brutal. Um,
every small business owner's been kicked in the teeth a few times.
yes, yes, I would agree with that. But I think that when it
But
comes to
cannabis,
cannabis and hemp,
yeah,
like,
that makes it worse.
and in some cases, so the parts of the business that are supposed to be the easiest
Uh-huh.
in terms of creating a website. Okay, Shopify, you may or may not be able to have a website on Shopify. And if you do, they might kick you off at some point in time in
Hmm.
the future if they don't like what you've done. Card processing, same thing. They might not like what you're doing, and then kick you off. Banking, same thing. And so you have like the parts of the business that are supposed to be like relatively simple are real advertising, Facebook,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean it's so basically just getting the business structure set up, and then basically trying to get the word out about your business every step of the way. They make it challenging for you to do it, and then the real challenge is the companies that are the adults in the room won't
Uh-huh.
make claims. They won't say anxiety. They'll say helps your pet remain calm. And
Uh-huh.
then the businesses that I don't think they're trying to cause harm, but they're not following the rules, are saying helps your dog with anxiety. And so as
Right.
a pet owner, you're going to
Hmm.
say, well, I'm going to go with the one that helps with anxiety because that's what my dog has.
Uh-huh.
Now it's a short term plan, but it's impacting the rest of us because of that. So, um,
Yeah, and I
y-
suspect they just don't even know what the FDA regulations are. That's why I've been trying to be real clear in this podcast of we can't cure anything. We can't make those statements. There's certain things we can't say, but it might help. It might help with
exactly.
the comfort. It might help, keep your pet peaceful. Might help. It might help. And that's about all we can say. And we can say that about allopathic medicine too.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't know any better than we do.
And what we tell people is like for our products at least we say try it. Like we have a really it's I don't want to call it a no questions asked 30-day guarantee, because we actually ask questions, because if it didn't work we want to know why.
Right.
In the sense that like a lot of people just self medicate, in the sense of we're like, hey, you should be giving we dose our CBD at 2 milligrams of CBD per kilogram of dog weight,
Uh-huh.
and twice a day. So if your dog, and what that equates to is basically like 1 milligram per pound. So if you have a 20 pound, and that's a rough calculation, but if you have a 20
Right.
pound dog, it's about 20 milligrams of CBD twice a day. So if you're giving your 20-pound dog a 2 milligram treat once a day, and you're
Hmm.
like, oh, well, I don't see a difference. It's like, okay, like let's talk about why you're not okay. Did you do the right steps, or did you set yourself up for success? Or
Right.
your dog up for success? So yeah, I mean, I think that's that our message is, hey, like your friends are using our products, they're buying it, and if they like it, then your dog will probably benefit as well. And if they don't, we'll refund your money. So
That's
that's our
awesome.
approach.
That's awesome.
But no,
That's
I think from the business itself is, if I could have started this company from scratch again, I
hmm
would not have ever created a CBD product. Even though
Really?
it's an amazing product, our product is amazing, and it works. Like, it doesn't work for every single dog, but we hear amazing, the warmest success stories that like you could turn it into like an AMC, or what's the network that has all the
The
like a
Pet
movie, like,
Collective
yeah, like it's like
or,
one of those movie channels
or
that's just
Hallmark?
like Hallmark. Thank you. Yeah, like a Hallmark type of a movie over like these heartwarming stories. Like we see dogs that like literally didn't even walk outside to go to the bathroom, and now they're running again, and you're just like, how is this? And
Yeah.
what's frustrating to us is the pet owners like, I wish I knew about it sooner. I wish I gave this to my dog 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge that we run into all the time. Is you know, how do we not make claims? meanwhile, how do we get the word out there so people actually trust us and try it? Because when they do, they see this success and it's incredible. So
Yeah, that's quite the balancing act, and the FDA has certain language that you're allowed to use and not allowed to use, and if you use certain language, then it has to be a prescription, and if you don't, then you can do it as a supplement over the counter. Um, and I don't know all the ins and outs, so I'm not even going to pretend that.
no, of course. So what we did two things to help pet owners in this scenario. So number one, we are NASE certified, which is National Animal Supplement Council certified.
Oh, okay.
It's basically like I mean, they have no regulatory authority, but it's kind of like an oversight of supplement companies,
Mm-hmm.
and they audit us and make sure that we're doing the right things,
Right.
which we're already doing. But it's just like kind of that stamp of approval. So if you see
Mm-hmm.
that NASE logo, like, hey, like these guys are at least trying to provide the best product possible to your dog. And then the other thing that we do is we pick up the phone. Like if you call Dr. Foss, we have our number like at the top of our screen,
Uh-huh.
and you can call and text us, and if you do those things, we answer. And we might
Mm-hmm.
not like we're a small team, so we might give you a call back an hour later or something like that. But we always
Right.
call back, and we don't hide behind the keyboards, regardless if you're calling us if you have a complaint, which
Uh-huh.
happens. Packages get lost in the mail from time to time, things like that, and but we make it right. And yeah, I think that's probably one of the best things that we do is when somebody calls, when somebody we make ourselves accessible for those phone
Mm-hmm.
calls, and further educate even past our webinars and so forth.
I th- I kind of think customer service has taken a nosedive in the past few years, personally, especially over the past 10, maybe, where it used to be that you would just call and get someone on the phone or get a return call. And now it seems like if you do, they're outsourced out of the country. Um, they have they become more difficult to understand. They don't understand our culture. They don't understand the product. They have a script they go off of. So it's really good to hear that you're providing true customer service. If the people on your team are on your team in your office, know the product, know what to do, I think that's really important. So
Well, thank
that's
you. Yeah,
all.
we work really hard at it, and the funniest part about customer service for us is well, everybody loves talking about their pets.
Uh-huh.
So like, before I know it, I'm on the phone call for like 30 minutes just chatting about somebody's experience, and it's really unique. But the one thing I'd say is I take a lot of the customer service calls, and the reason for it is we want to know what's going on, and the best way to kind of understand your customers to talk to them. And that's like actually a really interesting thing about e-commerce businesses in general
Mm-hmm.
is you don't know like if you're how your product is performing, because like reviews are like, if you think about it, you're either going to get really, really good 5-star reviews from somebody
Uh-huh.
who's like, "Oh, this is amazing," or you're going to
Um,
get really, really bad reviews. But there's
right.
this whole gap in the middle that people like. You haven't evoked that emotion in them to either
Right.
get like the 4-star review or the 3-star review, or if people are just going to take the time out of the day to do it. So, it's really interesting. Somebody calls us for hey, I need my our most common customer service call is somebody forgot to order and their dog is running out, and then they're
Oh,
like, I need it right now. And it's like, okay, like we're primarily an online company, because veterinarians don't really want to carry inventory. They
yeah.
just want to recommend products, and they don't want to have to deal with the inventory. So they'll call us and it's like, I need it right now. And so that's why most of our customers subscribe. So it just automatically comes, and we take a bunch of steps to make sure that if they don't want we don't want to sell a product that they don't want, which we might be the only company in America, but we send out an email 5 days in advance and 3 days in advance of anything renewing. So
Uh-huh.
like, it's like, hey, like this is coming, like call us, text us, email us, or go on, log in and make the change, because
Uh-huh.
all that does for us is it triggers a return. Like if they're because we'll return it. So like if they buy a product and they don't want it, we just end up basically getting it back anyway, and No,
Yeah.
it's not helpful to anybody. So we go out of our way to make sure that they know that the product is coming.
Oh,
You
good.
know,
Good. Yeah,
yeah,
I think a lot of companies just kind of bank on that automatic renewal, and then they don't tell you.
a
So
lot of companies,
you don't get a note that says your trial is ending. They're hoping that you'll ignore it, or
yeah,
they're
and
hoping
I
that
just
you'll
don't think
forget.
that's. I don't really think that that's like a sustainable business practice.
I
I
don't
mean,
either.
because you get it's like we gotcha, like you got an extra sale out of it, but then you lost the customer forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so especially in these areas where there's these industries, the hemp industry, the cannabis industry, where it's built on trust through and through,
Yeah.
and that starts with the way you treat your customers,
Yeah.
and I, yeah, they deserve your respect, and I mean, like, if you look at like dispensaries, the
Hmm.
way like you walk in, it feels like you're walking into a prison half the time, depending upon where you're
Uh-huh.
going, unless you're like on Abercrombie in Venice, California, like where it's like open door glass doors, but they feel like they're at risk, and so they take precautions to make sure that they're not putting themselves at risk, but then it's an uncomfortable experience, and so
Yeah. Yeah. I've been to dispensaries in several states, and
mhm.
um, California has been really good. Montana's been really good. You just walk in
Mm,
and they don't even ask for your ID until you're ordering product.
wow.
Um, but Illinois and Colorado, you have to show your ID before you can even get in the door.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm obviously over 21. I have grandchildren over 21. Uh, and I was like, what's the purpose of scanning my ID every time I walk through the door when I might just be accompanying one of my sisters or a friend and talking to them about what they need, but not buying anything myself? Is
Hmm.
it, you know, are they so scared of the product, or are the regulators, the legislature, so afraid of word getting out how good this is, that they're trying to deter people?
Yeah, I think that there's a whole
I
lobby
don't.
out there that.
Yeah, I don't think it's the dispensary owners. I really think it's the legislature and the regulators.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and there's certainly privacy concerns in that as well, that people don't want their name associated with it, and they like forever I've heard people saying that, hey, like, you go into, they get your ID, and then all of a sudden you're in a database,
uh-huh.
right? And then, which is, I'm almost positive is accurate, and and then, like, what does that mean? What does that? How does that impact you? And especially as we move toward a world of AI and that
Uh-huh.
and like that kind of thing. That's just one additional data point that they have that can
Hmm.
potentially be used to not give you a loan, or decline something else, because it's anyway, I could spend all day talking about AI, but that's
We
but
could
yeah,
really go down that rabbit hole
yeah.
pretty easily. So, like I said, on the business side of things, we talked about the problems with banking and the problems with they can revoke anything at any time, basically, especially with regard to banking. Um, I don't know if you know this, but there's actually a shortage of accountants nationwide to start with.
Mm,
Most young people are if they're interested in numbers, they're gravitating more towards coding. That's what's been pushed, and they see it as sexy. It's cool, it's sexy, or they want to be in finance on Wall Street.
mm-hmm,
But nobody seems to be wanting to go back into accounting. They see it as this very unsexy, late nights, hard work, which is true, you know, um, with not a lot of reward. And then you take into consideration a lot of accountants don't want to work with anybody in the cannabis field because they
mm.
feel like they are at risk themselves. How have you been able to overcome that?
What's interesting, we haven't had that issue, maybe because we're not cannabis and we're hemp, which is
Okay.
federally legal, so we haven't
Hmm.
really had too many issues with that. The one thing, when we found you know, we found somebody who's willing to work with us, and an
Okay.
inexpensive rate. But I think that the one thing that we've seen is kind of, when you're dealing with cannabis or hemp, everybody's like, oh, these guys are making so much money, we're gonna charge them a premium. And so I think that that's like another area that's quite frustrating. It's like there's especially on the cannabis side, there are like you can't like I think you're paying tax on top line revenue. I don't think that there's any real
You
expenses,
are,
and
yeah.
yeah.
You're paying
So
tax on
all
top
of a
of it.
sudden your tax bill is egregiously large. Like I mean, most companies like their job is to basically make sure that their taxable income is as close to zero as they can get it, right? They don't
Hmm.
want to show a huge number of net income. And so so anyway, so like I think that the where I think a lot of people can come into a challenge is the accountants can kind of charge some accountants can charge that premium, which
Right.
like they're like, hey, I'm taking a little bit more risk by taking you on as a client, and for those reasons I'm also going to in
Double my fee or triple my fee,
exactly
whatever. Yeah.
exactly yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a
I'm
challenge.
not one that does that. I've had people try to tell me that I should do that, but I just, it's a business and the
Hmm.
business's job is to improve the bottom line. And in order to do that, the first thing we want to reduce as much as possible is taxable income. That's my job. I say I'm Robin Hood. The government's rich. At least
Hmm.
they think they are. And you and I and most small business owners are not. So my
Hmm.
job is to try to make sure that the tax burden is as low as possible. And one of the ways that I do that is I just charge the same regardless of industry.
Hmm.
So in fact, I'll
Well, that's
probably charge more for construction because I know that industry. And the guys that are in construction are great people that have no clue about business.
yeah.
So,
The other interesting thing on the accounting side that I find fascinating is the tax strategy for not
mhm,
necessarily for the business, but for the actual owners.
yeah.
I think that that's like kind of an industry that's really well, it's significantly undervalued in terms of its importance. I think that that's like,
Hmm.
and a lot of accountants don't want to go near it. They just want to stay away. They kind of want to stay in their lane. They don't want to. Um, uh, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's really hard for like W-2 employees to kind of have like a lot of strategy around what they're doing. But all of a sudden, when you're cash rich and you run a cash flow business, it's
Uh-huh.
um, and that's not us, by the way. But I just find it very interesting for these other folks that are, there's very limited strategy that goes into where their dollars are going and where they're investing them and what makes sense based on their lifestyle and the whole strategy around it. It's a
Yeah,
it's a really
yeah.
interesting
And
field.
I do like to talk to people. My tax clients, I try to talk to them 3 or 4 times a year because I want to know what's going on in their life that might change their tax perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are they having kids? Are they going to buy a home? Are they investing in another business? Are they buying Bitcoin? How is that going to affect them, next year if they sell it? What kind of
Mm-hmm.
capital gains might they have? Um, and I've been surprised at the number of people that come back and say no one's even offered this. And
Mm-hmm.
it's actually baked into our offering that
Mm-hmm.
if you work with us, I want to talk to you I at least want to talk to you in the last quarter of the year because that's when a lot of decisions have to be made um, on tax strategy that will expire on the 31st of December.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the reasons I do that. And hopefully more accountants will start doing that because AI is taking a lot of the data entry away from us. We've got to be smarter about it. And that means serving our clients in different ways.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It totally makes sense, and that's great to hear because it really is an underserved area, especially for those companies that are really starting to make dollars. And yeah, so I'm glad to hear that you're doing that.
I think a lot of people are more like, they start making money in their business and they just don't even know what to do with it. So
Hmm.
usually after the first 5 years. So
Yeah, yeah.
well, great. Thank you for being on. I don't have any other questions. Is there anything else you
No, sure.
want to chat about?
Um, well, the only other thing I wanted to mention, just whoever's listening, is that we have all these surveys on our website
Mm-hmm.
that are really really cool, and they're so the one of the thing with with one of the things when you deal with an animal is they can't talk to you, obviously,
Yeah.
and because of that, it's all about your perception of how the animal is progressing.
Hmm.
And so we have surveys that kind of are set up to say like, oh, like I'm worried about my dog with cognitive decline. And so you can take a survey once a month, once a quarter, like however often you really want to take it. And you can
Hmm.
have that data point, excuse me, to show exactly how they're performing over time. So if
Oh,
are they
okay.
declining on like a very, very slow basis, or is it like this and then all of a sudden they fell off a cliff, but
Uh-huh.
or improving, right? Like if you're like, hey, my dog is slowing down, like and I tried the CBD and all of a sudden they start improving. It's really hard to kind of gauge like how much they've improved, because the improvement can be over 90 days. So like
Yeah.
people forget like how their dog was 90. They might forget that like, oh, my dog couldn't jump up on the bed 90 days ago. I just saw my dog jump up on the bed. Unless it's that like one shocking thing that like, if you're carrying
Mhm.
your dog up the stairs and then all of a sudden your dog starts running back up the stairs, that's like that's an easy one to pick out, but it
Uh-huh.
helps the pet owner kind of really get a sense of what's where their dog is on the spectrum of any kind of ailment. So
Yeah.
drfossums.com/surveys it's a great resource, and it's free. So it's not we're
And
not
we'll put a link in the show notes. So
oh good.
so
Cool.
people will have access to that. And I think that's great. I think cats are probably a little bit harder to judge how they're feeling because dogs are a little bit more expressive,
Of course.
at least in my experience. Again, I'm not really a dog person. I enjoy other people's dogs, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a cat person myself. And dogs can smile.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we know that if they're wagging their tail, they're probably happy. And cats are a little bit more mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be great, especially for both dog and cat owners. I think people forget how they feel over time, even themselves. It's hard to track that. So I think that's a wonderful tool.
Yeah, and it's not binary. It's everything's on a spectrum, so you get
Hmm.
like a score.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I think you're 100% right. They can't talk, and and they hide pain.
They
Um,
do because they want to
and
please their people.
Yeah, and so it's good just to let's just say you take the survey, whatever survey it is, like we have all
Hmm.
sorts of them, but let's just say you take it once, it at least keys you into very specific things to look for that you might not have noticed otherwise, right? And so it's nice just having those like data points, the
Yeah.
like an example, like if your dog's itching all the time, like where is your dog itching? Like, could it be yeast or what is it? Right. And it kind of
Hmm.
helps you, I don't want to say diagnose because that's not the intention, but it helps you understand like what's causing the issues and
Right.
where they are on the score. So, um, no, but this was great. Thank you so much. And one more thing is just it's called Fossum's University. It's on our homepage.
Okay.
Um, and that's like where we house all these like pet owner webinars.
Okay.
Again, they're free, but it's like a great resource to use. And then
Awesome.
the
We'll put
last,
those in the
yeah,
show notes too. So for
fantastic.
everyone watching, go to the show notes and see what resources Sean has on their website so that so that you can understand your pet a little bit better and get them the care that they need.
Yeah. Well, Donna, thank you so much for having me on. And it sounds like you're running an amazing bookkeeping and accounting service, and
Well,
that's
thank
that's
you.
awesome.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And we will talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again. Have a
Thanks.
great day. Have a good weekend.
You too.